was talking to my cousin a month back about this event when she asked me, "What are you going to talk about?" And when I said fear, shame, and the power of owning myself, she immediately responded with, "Oh my God, I definitely need to hear you talking. There are 1,000 voices in my head constantly telling me what to do and not to do every time I do or don't do something. It's exhausting. So I definitely want to hear you talking and learn from it and implement it," and so on and so forth. She went on. As she went on, it just struck me. My goodness, this is everyone's story. I thought I was writing a script based on my life story, but no, this is about everyone. Now, coming to this conversation, what is a conversation without looking back at our stories? As I look over my shoulder, I have so many stories reeling back to me, stories old and new. But most of those stories were painted in bold colors of fear and shame. Now you may wonder, who painted those colors? Well, 1,000 voices in my head and around. They were all playing lead artist in the production of those stories. Let me share a couple of them with you. So I want to start with this favorite incident from my childhood, from my young teens. And I feel this particular story is like a complete circle of failing, even before failure occurred, and me believing that I had failed, while there being no failure. But how I had remained in the shackles of shame until I heard that tiny, ultra humble voice in me that changed everything for me. So this was in year 1998. I was in 12th grade. Yes, I'm quite old. Now you can figure it out. So I was leading my college troupe as a choreographer for this inter-college competition um, hosted by a renowned engineering institute in Calicut. We reached the campus, and there were a huge number of students from across the country. But what really struck me like a bolt was this free flow of conversations in English. Now, dance I could to any beat around the world on any stage. That came very naturally. But when it came to conversing with as much free spiritedness in English, I was fraught with inhibitions. Hailing from the small town of Palakkad in Kerala, I didn't get much exposure to English as a primary language of communication. It best served as the language I would write all my exams in. And the fact that I was pathetic in academics added to the pressure that I felt in that moment. So there I was, stumped at the sheer confidence and fluency levels in English at this competition. Good news, we went on to win Stars of the Day award at this competition. But who would have thought this aha moment would soon be unfolding into a nightmare coming true, because now the campus tabloid team was interviewing me in English. They asked simple, meaningful questions like, what does dance mean to you? What is your advice to aspiring dancers? And some more. I had just perfect answers for them all. But none came through because so mangled I was in my head about this language barrier. I cringed, stumbled, stammered while responding to them. I was afraid of every word and sentence I was uttering because it was far from perfect, structurally and grammatically. I was scared that they may be judging me and they may laugh at me and they may think that I'm unsmart. Somehow, we finished that interview, thank God. But when the interview got published, it was simply perfect, thanks to that editorial team's magic. But on my way back to Palakkad, this entire episode kept replaying in my head. I felt deeply ashamed and guilty about my inability to communicate. How could you be so stupid? That shameful voice turned into sadness as I reaffirmed to myself, I'm not good enough and I can never be good enough. And that turned into anger towards myself. You deserve this for being so stupid. It was like walking a hall of shame, wanting to desperately run away and hide somewhere, but not knowing where or how to hide from my own condescending eyes. So I was compelled to just stand there midway, staring the ground, because running away from my own incompetence was exhausting. So I just sat there and wept quietly, squirming at my own stupidity. But this compulsion led to a moment of epiphany. Hold on, you have not failed in life. In fact, there is nothing called failing in life. You either fail in an exam or a relationship or a particular aspect in life. You have here failed just in communication. As I heard this humble, powerful whisper in me, I asked myself, do I want to continue to sit in the shame or do something about it? Somewhere through that midway in that hall of shame, this powerful whisper in me and this narrative change moved me to a space of wanting to support myself with kindness. As I experienced that kindness towards myself, it made me look up, continue that walk of shame with my head held high, with a determination to do something about it. 2 years down the line, I found myself enrolling at an MBA coaching institute with a hope to do something about my post-graduation pursuits. I really wanted to prepare well for it. In my first conversation with the coach, I remember saying, I'm pathetic in speaking in English. So here on, I'm going to talk to you in English every time. As and when I make a grammatical or structural error, please knock my head. He laughed at me and he said, now that you're so ready to do something about it, I'll give you some homework. And if you're sincere at it, you'll be able to change and improve your communication. What followed was some sincere, rigorous work throughout that year, and the shift came about. Oh, I still pronounce some words incorrectly and structure some words inappropriately. And I still continue to learn on the go with some amazing people who correct me with grace or a tease. And boy, am I relieved to have people have my back and not carry the pressure to be always correct. Today, my entire life's purpose is rooted in the way I connect with individuals and groups. And communication is very critical as part of my life's purpose and fulfilling my life's purpose. Talking about my life's purpose, how can I not talk about the year of 2009, probably the darkest year in my life? The year in which I had me giving birth to my child and taking a blow in my being with postpartum depression. Here I was, trying to brave my new role as a mother, only failing at every possible instance with uncountable breakdowns. Of course, it did not help at all to have zero zilch awareness about this state being one of depression, least of all, having a postpartum angle to it. I also realized the way we welcome babies in real life, in our families, is very different from how they show it in Bollywood movies. I started believing that I was not intelligent enough to make anything happen. I was so gripped in fear and shame. It led me to me doubting every act of mine, and I hated myself for that. And any attempt I made at running away from myself was like swimming out of quicksand. I only got in deeper. I was failing in my own eyes. And anything could have been acceptable to me, but me failing, seeing me failing, and languish in it, that was not acceptable. It was suffocating enough for me to want to do something about it. So I decided to heal and become a healer. So there I was in 2012, starting my journey with therapy, with one burning desire, wanting to be a better human being. Someone who's capable of loving my own self. Someone whose mirror image is as enduring in her light as in her darkness. 11 years hence, through my therapy journey, I have been learning to understand and embrace myself more, and learning to stand in the power of my being. But the most interesting part is, what I thought to be was the beginning of the cure of my postpartum depression turned out to be an investigation into those 1,000 voices in my head, which I had allowed to play out throughout my life whenever I was uncomfortable, challenged, or confronted. As I started understanding my inner world, I started realizing that I am creating my own reality because of my limiting beliefs. As a 6-year-old, I had picked up some beliefs to survive in the household in my childhood. Heck, now as a 30-plus-year-old woman, I was still functioning from the same set of beliefs, treating them as facts, with no realization that I was sabotaging my own life in the process. I had allowed those limiting beliefs to be the shackles on my feet, as if going beyond this permitted perimeter would result in my failure and I would perish. Now, I knew better. As a 40-plus-year-old woman, I have more power, experience, and knowledge than that 6-year-old young girl. As a human being, I'm not meant to stand and get stuck in the same place with the same set of beliefs throughout my life. I'm allowed to move, to change, and replace my limiting beliefs which are not serving me anymore with empowering beliefs which serve me in the here and now. And in this process, I can feel all that I need to feel. And through this, I heal. This understanding and experience changed my world, inner world, 180 degree. It shifted me completely. I realized that the more I own my flaws and my inner world, the more I'm able to design my outer world according to the way I desire. And the most interesting part is I continue to face those moments of fear and shame. But the change is, I respond very differently to my failures and mistakes today, with a choice and with kindness. So here are 3 insights I picked up from my journey with therapy in the last decade. Failure and mistakes are unavoidable. However, being stuck in that same space of shame, fear, and guilt of your mistakes and failures, that's a choice. You are not your mistake. If you are willing to see your own ugliness, you'll be less scared of the world seeing your ugliness. So hold your own mirror with kindness. Failures are primarily about you not meeting your own expectations from yourself. See if you can do something about that scenario. If there is something that you can do that something. If you can't do anything about it, binge watch it, but with organic gluten-free snacks. So here I am, today deeply in love with myself. I allow all the experiences that come my way. And I can actually feel my 6-year-old witnessing this conversation. I can feel her in this gleeful state of joy, dancing in gratitude, with her heart swelling in pride. I can hear her saying, "Thank you. Thank you for seeing me and taking me along. Thank you for growing both of us." With this, she gives me this tight, warm hug. This is what my heart wishes for each of you. For your 1,000 voices to start fading away, for yours to emerge bolder and kinder to yourself, such that you can celebrate your failures and mistakes with rituals on your own, like we do in my family. We cut a cake or order a pizza, but we mark every failure with a celebration. Celebration of owning the truth in that moment. Celebration of life happening for us to grow. Celebration of us. Celebration of me. Thank you.